Hi, this is Dana, and welcome on my channel. On this channel, I speak about spiritual warfare. In this video, God has guided me to talk a little bit about research, about books, um, particularly because in a previous video, I referred to a specific author and his books. And so God guided me to make a video, short one, in which to discuss specifically this topic. Um, and I will begin by saying that overall, um, God insistently guided me at all times um, not to read too much because and for me that was a challenge because I'm a I'm an analyst. I was in my profession. I was analyst of foreign affairs, military issues, political military issues. So for me, I need to understand phenomenon, something that's happening, the action. I need to understand what is going on, so I can grasp and you know find the discipline, find the solution, find the strategy, and so on. Um, but God insistently showed me that much of the knowledge available is fake knowledge, and he has been constructed on purpose to divert people from the truth, or that was which was allowed to be printed, essentially most times um, has been tampered with. Okay, so you don't really find the guidance you need. And even more importantly, God showed me that books, and especially those individuals who write about topics related to spirituality or anything correlated to this matrix plan of mind programming and so on, um, carries strings. So the author or the publishing house or the store where you buy from, or everyone essentially involved in this process, um, is practically manipulated by the matrix, and they are allowed to exist as a business only if they give rights to these secret societies, and they essentially put strings on this. So basically, holding a specific book in your house can give them access to your house. So they create a specific type of darkness work on their books in such a way so anyone, they God showed me that they say the following: because by reading my book you gain knowledge, then I have rights over you as a guru. I become your guru. That's a bunch of crap, of course. This is just a cover up in order for them to access. When I return from the spiritual journey to my house in Romania, actually God has guided me. I threw away a lot of books from my home, simply because God showed me. He said these books carry strings. These authors um, are basically feeding on your energy simply because of you hold that book in your house. And I did this. I threw away the books, and energetically I could feel the release. So I could test myself that this is true. However, I'm a book enthusiast. I love books. And everywhere I go, I try to buy books. So this was very hard for me not to read about this. Of course, I learned to do investigation in astral with, and God, of course, compensated by uh, giving me access to and special relation with Akashic records, so I can investigate on all topics that I write, and with the karmic board and so on. So I compensated somehow. But for me, it was important to actually have some sort of readings done on this topic. Um, I succeeded to read about this before the before the surprise attack in June 2018. So most probably what I chose by instinct. But afterwards, actually, God forbid me completely to read, to spend time in reading, and He actually showed me that is very energetically speaking, it tampers with your energy, because this is how supposedly it works. Now, there are exceptions. I didn't throw away all the books in my house. So obviously there are exceptions. Not all are the same. But I will show you today just a few books which I used in reading about this, because as you encounter these attacks in the initial steps, and more and more people will become aware and will encounter these attacks, because there are upcoming energy upgrades, and with each energy upgrade, um, the intensity of the conflict between dark and light becomes more obvious to everyone, because everyone's awareness will rise. Okay, so like it or not, ready or not, it's gonna happen. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you a few books now which I succeeded to read before God forbid me. This is one book which I bought in Berlin in 2008, and it was one I bought it at the time for my profession, and it does talk about foreign policy. It's called the shock doctrine, right? But later on, as time passed by, and I became interested in discovering this mind programming and on individuals, I recognize that what this book discusses on foreign policy on state level, it is applied the same way to mind programming on individuals. Basically, what what the author says is that they are using shock doctrine, creating shocks on country in order to divert them. It is basically sort of like a brainwash on an individual, namely what she is arguing, and I agree with her actually, is that through different revolutionary waves in different parts of the world, there was an agenda carried out of stripping countries of national identity and imposing a set of rules and norms from outside of the country, um, and essentially discusses many regions of the world. Anyhow, is discussing how the revolutions in those countries and certain economic effects on the markets, national markets, and especially the decisions taken related to industry and privatization and so on, were conceived as shock doctrines, shocks applied to that nation in order to basically strip away any sort of national strategic thinking and planning, and will basically enslave that country. Well, there's much more to be said about this. Actually, this is a topic on which I decided I started my PhD 2 years later, in talking about the lack of strategic thinking among leadership in current era. Whatever. The point is, the point she's making is very relevant, and it shows a pattern of implementing this agenda on individual level, but also on country level. It is, I would recommend, regardless what is the background of your profession, I would recommend you read this, because it is an eye opener, and then you can make parallels and you can understand. Here are the books which I already showed from Ramtha, right? For me, these were very important, because as I said in the previous video, it helped me to depersonalize the process and to understand that these are just a bunch of idiots who try to torture us, uh, and not to take it very personal, but to try to understand it, how it works, so to find solutions to fight it back. That's the point. but it's those are very useful. There are many. I just got a few of them which I could find at the time, but you can find, of course, on the internet a lot of. I did a lot of research on the internet, on ebooks and so on. um, Here are a few books I have which I got from um, it refers to these are in Romanian, reflexology of the brain, and there are a few more behind it. This I got, and I highly recommend this from guy who's doing massage as a profession. So he has a cabinet and he's doing massage. I never went for massage there, but he was colleague with me in a class of pranic healing, and I asked him specifically because it is all a mind programming. Everything comes from a mind programming attack, done in different ways. And the silent meditation, sorry, the silent meditation, this is precisely what it does. It cleans your brain. And watch that video and you will see how. So I asked him specifically if he has something related to two issues. One, to the brain, so I can understand, because I didn't know much at the time about the brain. So I was like, I need to understand exactly, because I feel it's here, it's here. I could feel where the attack was coming, where the energy attack was coming, but I didn't know what was there. So I needed to read to understand exactly what functions that part of the brain has, and so on. So I recommend this. So I asked him for this on brain, and then another one from presopunctur. Do you say this in English? I don't even know if this is a word. We say in Romanian, you say presopunctură. So I guess you say something similar in English as well, for the same reason, because much of the energy attacks can be healed energetically through that. So you Google it and you will find a lot of explanations on the internet on this. And I actually wrote on my Facebook page and I put links to some of the things. This is the one of my books on pranic healing. I took some classes in pranic healing, and I highly recommend for energy healing. Those who never done it, it's no big deal. You don't necessarily need to take a class to do. Both Reiki and pranic healing use similar concepts, and it's no big deal. There's just two different groups which just want to make a name for themselves, but otherwise the basic principle is the same. And you can buy the book, you don't have to take the class, but it's important because it gives you familiarity in exercising, working with the energy. I highly recommend you don't allow anyone to do energy healing on you. You only do self healing energy. In the beginning, when I started my Facebook page, I used to do readings, um, and I always told individuals I would give in my readings also recommendations. I would do diagnosis of energy, explaining to individuals what type of attacks are coming at them and which chakras, how they are directed, and what type of energy is being sent to them, and so on. And I would give recommendations how to do self-healing. And I taught each and every, I never sent energy to anyone, never. But I always gave them explanations exactly how to do self-healing. And I always told them this: you never accept healing from anyone. Particularly, this is crazy how I see people on Facebook, on internet, how they say, please send me some Reiki healing. That's stupid. You don't know anything about that individual. By sending you any kind of energy, even if it's with good intent, that individual creates a string on you. If the two of you don't have good knowledge on how to cut strings between the two of you, you will stay connected like this. You don't know if that individual does have some sort of curse on him, some sort of dark entity, some sort of, you don't know. You just don't know. And you allow string creation at you without having any clue who's that individual? I was in shock when I saw that first time on Facebook. Individuals who actually say this on the Facebook groups, please, everyone who wants to send me. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so I used to give this, I don't do that anymore, but I used to do that. I recommend pranic healing, and I think it can help you familiarize yourself. You will uh, go through many phases of learning about this, working with the energy. Now, these are two books in Romanian. You guys, these books look so bad because these two books, because I took them with me in my spiritual journey. So um, sometimes I think sometimes I was once outdoors, and the huge rain started in Greece, so so they got wet in my luggage. So this is one of the books. There are two books of the same author. Unfortunately, both of them are in Romanian, and so you those English speakers cannot understand maybe, but you can get translation from on Google. Both of them are talking about this agenda of mind programming, and done on a national and international level. And I found this extremely useful. I read them in 2014, I think, yes, or 13, some 14, I think. And I found them extremely useful in understanding the agenda behind it. And this one as well, with the same, that's, this says politically correctness, and how basically they brainwash you into accepting a totally different definition of terms. Really, if you go into this, this talks about the Cultural Revolution and so on. And they literally change the meaning of concepts, um, simply like that. It's unbelievable, but yes, and this is useful. I have many other books which talk about. I was very passionate reading about um, political prisoners, political prisons in communism and in Nazi era, um, because in Romania, those who went through political prisons uh, are considered to be saints. So I started reading about them mainly from religious books, which I used to read. And because I was interested in the process of essentially, there were individuals who actually go into prison through the experience they had in prison, and particularly through the tortures they suffered, but through their behavior in coping with that, um, they became saints. Now, they are not fully recognized as saints, but they are considered. In my prophetic writings, I asked God and I talked about them, and I said that essentially God showed me that this, I was always very drawn to them, and I wanted to understand, what happened. Um, and God has shown me that essentially these individuals who during Nazi time and during communism era were tortured in prisons in part of these experiments of mind programming. These were programs of mind programming that were done on them, So they were essentially tortured daily, day and night, in order to alter their behavior. And this is what also Naomi Klein in the Shock Doctrine talks. And she talks about Guantanamo. And she shows how in Guantanamo prison, they actually apply the same tortures in order to alter the brain, to change the perception of definitions of concepts of and analyzing um, how much impulse and how much pain, how much fear generates what kind of outcome individuals. You cannot imagine how these individuals are cold-blooded, uh, planning this stuff, and So all of this, I was very interested, and God showed me that all of these individuals, these prisoners in communism and in Nazi era, were essentially a reincarnation of the Templars, who went through the same thing 200 years before. You understand? I have a writing on my Facebook page. I wrote in spring 2019 a few articles about this, a few prophetic writings about this. So God precisely showed me that He said you were drawn to them because they are the Templars reincarnated. Yeah. So really, actually, there is a logic in it, and so I have many other books about this, but they're all in Romanian, and there are too many. I don't have space here to put them. They won't help you much. So I guess uh, I don't know why God wanted me to show. Um, to me, it was important to read. I didn't learn. I didn't learn to defend myself. None of these books talks about. There is another book here which I didn't show. This is written by a military guy, a general, who is talking about sea operations and so on. The same thing about mind programming and so on. From none of this, I learned how to defend against the attacks that were sent on me. I must say, none of them actually helped me in this regard. But what it helped me was, as God said in when I was speaking previously, to depersonalize what is happening and to understand that we are at war. Period. We are in a war situation, and different people chose different camps. And I think for me that was important, to snap out of the shock of this happening to me, and to start actually thinking, okay, let's do this, let's learn how to fight if this is what we have to do, right? So I think it's important on psychological level. But again, I want to say that God emphasized that it is not beneficial to read, and that most books, and I tell you that I kept in my house only those books which God guided me to keep. All the other which God showed me that opened strings and portals in my house, I threw them away in 2 years ago when I returned from the spiritual journey. I threw them away, so I don't have them anymore. Um, but aside from that, if you feel the need and you don't feel comfortable with all of these concepts, because initially for me as well, it was a little bit peculiar when I encountered first attacks. But if you feel the need to actually read something and to discuss with somebody, or to consult some sort of writings, these are books which I would recommend. I don't recommend to read anything about darkness. Personally, I didn't buy anything related to that. There are many witchcraft, sorcery. I had an acquaintance in United States. Actually, she came and met me in Bulgaria, and I helped her do bondage breaking. We had a contract. Um, I gave her spiritual coaching on bondage breaking, um, which she never actually paid for to this day. But uh, I can uh, I can tell you that she had many books on sorcery, on witchcraft, on this. And most of the times I said, you know what, I really don't feel comfortable because we don't have enough knowledge in this, and we're not in a safe space, meaning we are encountering attacks. So I'm not quite sure that this is safe for us to do. And I always ask guidance from God. And God also told me not to read all of them. because they can open portals. Sometimes you read something and it might be some sort of password encoded in their world of darkness, and I don't believe this is useful to do, actually. I know there are individuals who are interested in studying demonology and all of that, but I don't think those individuals are watching my channel, to be honest. And I am specifically uh, speaking on my channel, particularly for those who um, are being attacked and just want to find, yeah, and just want to find ways to defend themselves. God says, I'm talking for the other ones as well. For those who are studying and studying darkness and conducting war uh, with God's guidance on against darkness. Yes, yes, of course I'm talking. I just don't think they watch. That's all. Um, so yeah, I'm talking for everyone. Bottom line, Father God, I'm talking for everyone who wants to listen. But God says that those individuals are expected to take action and investigate further and find solutions. Yeah. Okay. This was the video. I'm not sure who needs to see this. Maybe it's a sign that God. I'm not sure God wanted me to advise you to go read or not to read. I'm not quite sure exactly why God wanted me to do this. Um, I am doing it. These are the Ramtha books, and I would recommend those highly as well. These ones, I believe, they're really important to help you understand. First of all, because it will help you if you learn more about the brain. And I learned a lot. Many books I read, but I don't have them with me right now. About the human body. I studied a lot the human body, so I can understand because I couldn't understand, all the reflexes and why it's being attacked in one place. And it makes a lot of sense then when you start reading, because I would feel an attack in a certain part of the brain and I didn't know what was there. I knew it's the brain, but what part and what kind of reflexes and to what purpose. And then by reading that, then slowly I started studying the entire human body so I can understand what, and then it makes it much uh, I don't know how to say, it makes it not acceptable, but it helps you cope with it, with the fact that you have to go through it, right? You just study it and you deal with it. It's different. Like God said, you depersonalize it. You don't take it as personal. And it makes it easier to fight when it's depersonalized, right? Okay, I'm gonna stop here because I don't believe it's already 28 minutes just about books. Okay, thank you for being here on my channel. Thank you to those who donated, and if you feel inclined to support my work and my channel, please, you will find in the description box below the link to my PayPal account. Thank you.